So today we're checking out MUI. We're gonna take a look at her ears and her tail. We're gonna take a look at her kit, see where and how to use her, how to gear her, and see if she is worth it to you. MUI is a 5-star Earth Warrior. Her S1 is Lash. She hits you with her whip with a 65 up to 75% chance to inflict one random debuff. That random debuff can consist of Silence, Defense Break, Attack Break, or Unhealable. Her S2 is Punishment. It attacks all enemies with a 35 up to 50% chance to inflict 2 bleeding effects for 2 turns, also with a 65 to 80% chance to inflict stun for 1 turn. Her S3 is Grand Finale. It hits everybody on the other team, stripping 2 buffs and granting your entire team increased attack for 3 turns. MUI also has an exclusive equipment which grants her effectiveness up to 16%. The first EE will increase her chance of landing a random debuff by 10% when you use the S1. The second one gives you a 35% chance to get an extra turn when you use the S3. And the third one will silence the person on the other team with the high CR when you use the S3. The pros and cons to MUI. The pros are that her S3 is a strip and an attack buff, so it sets you up for quite a wicked cleave or a nuke. Then her S2 will follow up with a stun and a bleed on the enemy. Then her S1 will set you up for even more debuffs with a chance to even land Defense Break. The cons to her is that she is a warrior. Now that may sound odd, but being a warrior really limits her artifacts. I feel that the best artifacts for a control unit and an opener are mage artifacts, because mages can hold Tag Hells, which helps set up for the cleave, and they also have Abyssal Crown, which helps with the control, as well as Siri Ren. So if she was actually a mage, she would be way stronger. So where do we use MUI? I do not think she works in any hunts. You could probably fit her in there if you really wanted to, but there are definitely better choices. Same goes with the expeditions. You can try to squeeze her in because she does have the attack buff, but that's really all. You could bring anybody else with an attack buff and they would probably do a better job than she could. But luckily, she does work pretty well in PvP. In Arena, you can use her S3 to open up to set up for some good cleaves and some nukes. In Guild Wars, I use her very often to take care of FCC lane DT certain teams. If you pay attention right above, you will see her making very short work of comps just like that, as well as double DPS tank comps. Now in World Arena, I do use MUI quite often because I really like her and I really like her playstyle. She fits me very well. The downside to her is that even though she does completely strip 2 buffs, which means she's got stripped immunity and the shields, she does not push up your team or push back the other team. So you do need a fast team to follow her up if you want to use her. So now how do we play MUI? MUI is pretty much an opener. You make her very fast, she moves first, she strips, and she grants your entire team attack buff so then you can cleave or you can nuke. But if that's not your style, you can also use her in a control team. You don't have to have her as fast, but she can still strip and allow the rest of your team to control, and when she moves again, she has a stun. But as always, the way you do play with her will be dictated by the artifact and the gear that you give to her. So speaking of builds, this is a speed stripper build. You throw her in a speed set, then maybe immunity, but if not, then a hit set, then stack her full of freaking speed and tons of effectiveness. And as for artifacts, I do recommend Oath Key because then you are able to bypass those MLDBs, which are insanely annoying and will mess you up really freaking bad. But if you want to gamble with RNG and you want more effectiveness, you could go with Circus Fantasia or Champion's Trophy. But if you don't want any of those, you can always go with Midnight Bloom. It is a very solid artifact for support units. If you do not need an artifact for yourself, you take something that can benefit the rest of your team. And as for the exclusive equipment, I do recommend the third one because then after you open up with the S3, it will allow you to silence the person who is moving next. And that person who is moving next could very likely cut before anyone else on your team moves. So that silence is very good. And the next build is a control build. It is very similar to the previous one, except you're going to be a little bit slower and more tanky. Because with a control build, you do want to survive more than 1 turn, unlike the last build where you only need to open up and that's about it. So of course with this one, we're going to go a little bit slower. We could go fast if you want, but it's going to be hard to stack some defense stats if you're going super freaking fast. So we're going to bump the speed and the effectiveness down a little bit to get more tank stats in there so that you can survive and so you can actually control people. And as for artifacts, I do think Creation and Destruction is quite good if RNG is on your side. But if you don't want to gamble with RNG, you can go with Warhorn to push yourself up because you're going to be lacking a little bit of speed and also helping your entire team at the same time. But as a warrior, if you want effectiveness, again, you can go with Champion's Trophy or Circus Fantasia. But as for exclusive equipment, this time around, I would recommend the second one so that you do have a chance to get an extra turn when you use the S3. Now, my final thoughts on MUI, is she worth the pull? I would definitely say yes. I think she is very fun to play with and she does something that nobody else can do. She has a strip and attack buff. OP Sig can do the same thing, but she does not strip the FCC shields. Now, even though I say she is worth the pull, if you have other units that you would rather use as openers than MUI, then she is not worth the pull. But if you want a variety of openers and something more to play with rather than the same old stuff, then yes, she is worth it for sure. Now, if you have MUI, is she worth the investment? I would say yes. The big reason is that because her Mola setup is very odd. Usually heroes with effectiveness in their Mola tree will need you to upgrade all the way to the 4th one. However, for some reason, MUI has hers maxed on the 3rd Mola instead of the 4th one out of the 5. So she's actually pretty easy to Mola, which makes it very nice. And now finally, the waifu rating. Is she waifu? Heck yes, dude. Just freaking look at her. She's got the fuzzy bunny ears, the fluffy tail. She's got the weird circus thing going on with her skirt. And she's also got a whip. You know, you might not be into that, but you never know until you try it, right? So anyways, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below or join the Discord and we'll try to help you out. But I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you for hanging out with us, and I'll see you guys next time, man. Bye.